Yes, Kenyan. Tamu sana, tamu sana, tamu sana, yes. Things are still falling apart in Kenya Kwanza. The center can no longer hold. Before we look into our main story, let's have a look at a post shared out by a Kenya Kwanza blogger currently allied to Rigathi Gachagua. Malema TV, you want the head of state to sack or reshuffle some of his cabinet? Tell the president yourself. He is cracking the whip tomorrow. Your opinion counts on Malema TV. So Malema, who is a well-known Kenya Kwanza blogger, is saying that tomorrow, William Ruto will be cracking the whip. And in our earlier video, we did explain what Gen Zs are saying. Gen Zs are saying, dissolve, don't reshuffle. That's the position of Kenyans. Dissolve, don't reshuffle. Let's now look into our main story. Earlier today, William Ruto held a cabinet meeting. And this cabinet meeting has come out with some very interesting findings. Cabinet commends security officers for acting professionally during finance bill protests. CSS also note that security agencies did a good job of protecting the country from anarchists. So the cabinet is branding and describing Gen Z's protesters as anarchists, and they are commending the police for having done a wonderful job. We all know that the protesters were very peaceful, but the police was using a lot of force, unnecessary force. Several Kenyans were killed by the same police officers we are being told did a professional job. I want us to dig deep into this for Kenyans to understand what's happening here, considering the fact that tomorrow William Ruto has organized a dialogue with Gen Zs through his X account. And already, Gen Zs have rejected that call for dialogue. So as William Ruto will be having his dialogue with maybe some of these individuals he has picked and branded Gen Zs, Gen Zs at the same time will also be holding their X-Space dialogue. So we might see two parallel dialogues tomorrow from 2 to 5. Ruto will be hosting one through his X account. Gen Zs will also be hosting theirs from 2 to 5. Let's put all this into perspective, considering that Ruto is calling for dialogue tomorrow. Today's cabinet met where they are branding the Gen Zs anarchists. And then again tomorrow, there might be a cabinet reshuffle. What does all this mean, ladies and gentlemen? If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Let's proceed. Let me start by saying this. Sikio la kufa halisikii dawa. When the gods want to destroy a man, they first make the man mad. Ruto is not listening. And I just don't know which language Kenyans will use for William Ruto to listen. He's not listening. During the finance bill debate, Kenyans made it very clear through Gen Zs, don't amend, reject. Parliament went ahead, amended it, Ruto was now forced to reject it after Kenyans have lost lives, after parliament had been occupied. Right now, Gen Zs and largely Kenyans, because Gen Zs are speaking on behalf of Kenyans, they have given 14 demands which they want William Ruto to implement. 14 demands. Ruto, instead of implementing or actualizing those demands, he is calling for a dialogue tomorrow through his X account. Dialogue for what? Already, Kenyans have spoken. They have issued 14 demands. Ruto should just implement those 14 demands. I'm seeing a William Ruto is just trying to buy time as he figures out how he can destroy this Gen Z thing, as he figures out his plan B. So all these X-space talks, all these dialogues are just meant to buy time as he ponders his next move. Gen Z's caught him unaware. He wasn't prepared. So he's just trying to buy time. And the good thing about Gen Zs, already they know that and they understand very well William Ruto's games. They understand every move he makes. Calling for all these dialogues, talks, is just meant to buy time. Kenyans have been talking, but nothing has been coming out of the talks. That's why Gen Zs are not interested in the talks. They understand pretty well William Ruto is just trying to buy time as he figures out his plan B. So that X Space tomorrow to be hosted by William Ruto. That one is dead on arrival. What William Ruto will discuss there will be between himself and his own Gen Zs, these government surrogates. So it's dead on arrival. And also, if you look at the looming cabinet changes, Gen Zs have also spoken very well. Don't reshuffle, dissolve. That's also an issue that William Ruto should listen to very well. Kenyans want to see that cabinet being dissolved because that cabinet cannot deliver, will not deliver. We can't have a cabinet where a minister in charge of agriculture oversees National Cereals Produce Board selling fake fertilizers to Kenyan farmers. Don't reshuffle, dissolve. That's what Kenyans are saying. So if William Ruto is listening, Kenyans are saying, don't reshuffle, dissolve. Failure to listen to Kenyans, what happened last Tuesday, can repeat itself. It's better we avoid that before it reaches there. And also, if you look at what is currently happening in Kenya, it's coming out very clearly that the government is divided. It's not functioning as a unit, where we have two factions, one allied to Rigathi, another to Ruto. And these two factions are trying to sabotage one another. And I've always maintained here that that's good, because the moment they work together, then Kenyans are suffering. It's better it remains divided so that each can police the other. That's also good news to Kenyans. But a divided house cannot stand again. And also that's a good news to Kenyans, because all Kenyans are asking for is for this government to collapse so that Kenyans can elect new leaders who will serve their interests. That's something also coming out very, very clearly. So the bad news William Ruto has delivered today to Gen Zs is branding them anarchists. And that only means that Ruto's government is not apologetic on how the police has used a lot of force, unnecessary force, on innocent demonstrating Kenyans. Ruto is not apologetic. His government is not apologetic. That's the bad news. We were expecting the government to apologize for the kind of police brutalities that was meted on the youths. But instead of issuing an apology, it's branding them anarchists. And Gen Zs have also responded by saying tomorrow his ex-space dialogue will be between him, Ruto, and his friends, the ones benefiting from his government. Gen Zs will be having their own dialogue as usual. Let me stop it there. In case you're watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Any person watching us outside Kenya, drop a comment, let us know from which part of the globe you are watching us from. If possible, subscribe, give the video a like. Stay tuned for our next analysis. Thank you. God bless you.